All right. So today can you see my screen?
No.
Not yet.
Can you see the screen?
Not yet, sir.
No, sir.
Not
No,
yet,
sir.
All right.
No, sir.
All right, I'm coming. It's me.
Unable to see, sir.
All right, that's running. Can you see it now?
No, sir. We can't see it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, now.
Yes, sir. We can see it now. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So that is where we are starting today.
We cannot open it.
What are the 5 steps of programming? There are 5 main ingredients in the programming process. Number 1, defining the problem. Number 2, planning the solution. 3, coding the program. 4, testing the program. 5, documenting the program. When we are talking about defining the problem, what do we mean? Specifically, the task of defining the problem consists of identifying what it is you know. That is, inputs given data and what it is you want to obtain. That is, output the result. Eventually, you produce a written agreement that, among other things, specifies the kind of output, processing, and output required. This will lead us to the second point that I mentioned, that is planning the solution. To find or plan the solution to the problem identified in step 1, students can either create a flow chart or write a pseudocode. Experienced programmers can and will use either of these methods to convey program development to clients or teachers, etc. A flow chart is a step-by-step solution to a problem that uses a critical pictorial representation of the direction of the program and consists of arrows, boxes, and other symbols that represent actions, that is, inputs and outputs, process, etc. Now to the pseudocode. Pseudocode is similar to English and is used to convey the solution with more accuracy than in plain English, but with less meticulousness required by formal programming language.
To find a plan, a solution to the problem, and find the steps, one can either create a flow chart or
now the solution process.
And use.
Hello, are we together? Just be following with your mind. The solution process enables the programmer to focus on the logical flow of the program without having to adhere to the actual syntax used by the programming language for the projects. And this will lead us to the next one, that is coding the program. Oftentimes, coding is confused with programming, but coding is just one part of the programming process. Good coders can create instructions from the solutions discussed in step 2 and write them into code for the computer to understand. This is where the algorithm design skills from computational thinking come into play. Also, it helps when you think of problem as a maths problem, not because you are always doing a lot of maths while programming, but because the thought process is the same. In mathematics, we often use algorithm set of instructions that we follow in a sequence of steps. Please mute yourself. In a sequence of steps to achieve a goal. That process is likened to both a well-detailed flowchart and code in a specific programming language. Testing the program. Testing in computer programming is a critical process used to determine the quality of a program and find bugs. That is problem. As a college intern, I was first introduced to testing and debugging of ActiveX controls in a Visual Basic programming language. Although testing has different levels and will determine if programs work or don't. Working to find bugs for the software developers to correct was very powerful in helping understand the quality of the programs I used every day and also the importance of updating them regularly. Now, what is active controls that I made mention there? Active controls are component program objects that Microsoft developed to enable application to perform specific functions, such as displaying a calendar or playing a video. ActiveX control is a small program that other applications can reuse to enable the same functionality without the extra development. Now to documenting the program. The main purpose of program documentation is to describe the design of your program. The documentation also provides the framework in which to place the code. As coding progresses, the code is inserted into the framework already created by the program documentation. Now, introduction to Python. Introduction to Python programming. What is Python? Python is a computer programming language often used to build websites and software, automate tasks, and conduct data analysis. Python is a general purpose language, meaning it can be used to create a variety of different programs and isn't specialized for any specific function. Python is a popular programming language, and it was created by Guido van Rossum and released in 1991. What is Python used for? One, Python is used for web development, that is server side. Two, it is used for software development. Three, used for mathematics. Four, for system scripting. What can Python do? Python can be used on a server. Please mute yourself.
I'm sorry, I will not be able to attend. I will not be able to attend though.
Why are you talking? Please mute yourself. Whatever you want to say, drop it in a chat box and leave. Please don't disrupt the class. What can Python do? Python can be used on a server to create web applications. As Python can be used along that software to create workflows. Python can connect to database system. It can also read and modify files. Python can be used to handle big data and perform complex mathematics. Python can be used for rapid prototyping or for production-ready software development. Why Python? Python works on different platforms like Windows, Mac, Linux, Raspberry Pi, and etc. Python has a simple syntax similar to the English language. Python has syntax that allows developer to write programs with fewer lines than some other programming languages. Python runs on interpreter system, meaning that code can be executed as soon as it is written. This means that prototyping can be very quick. Python can be treated in a procedural way, an object-oriented way, or a functional way. Good to know about Python. The most recent major version of Python is Python 3, which we shall be using in this tutorial. However, Python 2, although not being updated with anything other than security updates, is still quite popular. In this tutorial, Python will be written in a text editor. It is possible to write Python in an integrated development environment called IDE, such Python, NetBeans, or Eclipse, which are particularly useful when managing larger collection of files. Python syntax compared to other programming languages. Pythons were designed for readability and have some similarities to the English language, which influence from mathematics. Python uses new lines to complete a command, as opposed to other programming languages, which often use semicolons or parentheses. Python relies on indentation, using white space to define scope, such as the scope of loops, functions, and classes. Other programming languages often use curly brackets for this purpose. Why is Python using colon compared to other languages that use semicolon? A colon is used to represent an indented block. It is also used to fetch data and index ranges or arrays. Another major use of the colon is slicing. In slicing, the programmer specifies the starting index and the ending index and separate them using a colon, which is the general syntax of slicing. The 14 most important Python features and how to use them to excel in programming languages. Python features and advantages. A few years ago, programming languages were only known by software developers. These days, with the rise of new technologies, programming skills are needed for almost all non-developer jobs as well. As such, there is a need for a simple programming language that is easy to learn, but can also provide fast edit cycles and smooth development. Python is a program language, is a language that meets all of these needs. According to the Ethiopian Programming Community Index, Python is one of the top programming languages of 2020. Python's rise in popularity is due to its use in building fields such as AI, meaning artificial intelligence, data mining, and numerical computing. Let us begin with the Python features now. Number one, easy to code. Python is a very high-level programming language, yet it is effortless to learn Anyone can learn to code in Python in just a few hours or a few days. Mastering Python and all its advanced concepts, packages, and modules might take some more time. However, learning the basic concepts, the basic Python syntax is very easy as compared to other popular languages like C language, C++, and Java. Let us now look at the next feature of Python. Python is easy to read. Python code looks like simple English words. There is no use of semicolons or brackets, and the indentations define the code block. You can tell what the code is supposed to do simply by looking at it. Three, free and open source. Python is developed under an OSI-approved open source license. Hence, it is completely free to use, even for commercial purposes. It doesn't cost anything to download Python or to include it in your application. It can also be freely modified and redistributed. Python can be downloaded from the official Python website. Let us find out the next feature of Python. 4, robust standard library. Python has an extensive standard library available for anyone to use. This means that programmers don't have to write their code for every single thing, unlike other programming languages. There are libraries for image manipulation, databases, unit testing, expressions, and a lot of other functionalities. In addition to the standard library, there is also a growing collection of thousands of components which are available in the Python package index. Number 5, interpreted. When a program language is interpreted, it means that the source code is executed line by line and not all at once. Programming languages such as C++ or Java are not interpreted and hence need to be compiled first to run them. Please mute yourself. There is no need to compile Python because it is processed at runtime by the interpreter. Please mute yourself or you'll be kicked out of the meeting. Let us now look at the next feature of Python. That's the sixth one, portable. Python is portable in the sense that the same code can be used on different machines. Suppose you write a Python code on a Mac. If you want to run it on Windows or Linux later, you don't have to make any changes to it. As such, there is no need to write
Hello, is anyone there?
Hello, sir. Your screen
There's no
has gone.
screening.
I think
There's
the
no
Hello?
voice.
I think he's disconnected. We can't hear him. Hello? I can't hear him too. Can't
It
hear
seems
you.
like he lost
Hello.
connection.
Sir.
Can we hold on?
Hello.
Can
He's
we take
disconnected.
one
Let's
after
wait
the
for him.
other?
Let's wait for him.
Please,
Everybody should
let's
hold
hold
on.
on. Let's hold on,
Everybody
please.
should hold on.
Let's hold on, please. Hold
All
on
of
for a
you
while, please.
chill and wait for him now. What kind of miscreant behavior is this?
Let us wait for him. We'll sort it out.
Maybe there is a network connection, disconnection.
Yeah. Yes.
We'll be back in due time.
Okay, off your.
Please, let's all respect
Please go on,
ourselves.
Olade, off your camera now.
And wait.
Turn off your camera. Who wants to see that?
Hello, are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, so
Yes,
sorry.
sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm having network issue here. All right.
We thought as much.
Okay. So the other time I was talking about portable. Python is portable in the sense that the same code can be used on different machines. Suppose you write a Python code on a Mac. Hello, please mute yourself. If you want to run it on Windows or Linux later, you don't have to make any changes to it as such. There is no need to write a program multiple times for several platforms. 7, object-oriented and procedure-oriented. A programming language is object-oriented if it focuses design around data and objects rather than functions and logic. On the contrary, a programming language is procedure-oriented if it focuses more on functions, code that can be reused. One of the critical Python features is that it supports oriented and procedure-oriented programming. Move to number 8, extensible. A programming language is said to be extensible if it can be extended to other languages. Python code can also be written in other languages like C++, making it a highly extensible language. Number 9, expressive. Python needs to use only a few lines of code to perform complex tasks. For example, to display hello world, you simply need to type one line. That is, print hello world. Other languages like Java or C would take up multiple lines to execute this. Python has support for GUI. One of the key aspects of any programming language is support for GUI or graphical user interface. A user can easily interact with the software using a GUI. Python offers various toolkits such as Tinter, WXPython, and JPython, which allows for GUIs easy and fast development. The number 11, Python is dynamically typed. Many programming languages need to declare the type of the variable before runtime. With Python, the type of the variable can be decided during runtime. This makes Python a dynamically typed language. For example, if you have to design an integer value 20 to a variable x, you don't need to write int x equals to 20. You just have to write x is equals to 15. All right. Number 12, Python is high-level language. Python is high-level programming language because programmers don't need to remember the system architecture, nor do they have to manage the memory. This makes it super programmer friendly and is one of the key features of Python. The next one is simplify complex software development. Python can be used to develop both desktop and web apps and complex scientific and numerical applications. Python's data analysis features help you create custom big data solutions without so much time and effort. You can also use the Python data visualization libraries and APIs to present data in a more appealing way. Several advanced software developers use Python to accomplish high-end AI and natural tasks. The last one on the features of Python, other advanced programming features. Python contains several advanced programming features such as generators used to create iterators with a different approach than most other languages. That most other languages and list comprehensions used to create new lists from other iterables. Python also has automatic memory management, eliminating the need to manually allocate and free memory in the code. The next one I want to talk about is Introduction to C language. Introduction to C language. What is C language? C is a general purpose programming language created by Dennis Ritchie at the Bell Laboratories in 1972. It is a very popular language despite being old. C is strongly associated with Unix as it was developed to write the Unix operating system. Why learn C? Why learn C? Number one is that it is one of the most popular programming language in the world. We learn C language because it is one of the most popular programming language in the world. Second, number two, if you know C language, you will have no problem learning other popular programming languages such as Java, Python, C++, C#, etc., as the syntax is similar.
Come on there.
Please mute yourself. Please mute yourself. Imade, mute yourself. All right. As I move on, C is very fast compared to other programming languages like Java and Python. Why learn C? C is very versatile. It can be used in both applications and technologies. The difference between C language and C++. C++ was developed as an extension of C, and both languages have almost the same syntax. The main difference between C and C++ is that C++ supports classes and objects, while C does not. Why is C language important? Important features of C language. Important features of C language. What makes C language so popular? Why are companies keen on hiring C professionals even till today? The most basic and straightforward answer would be its features make it a unique and special language, thereby still holding its relevance and popularity. 1. Simple and efficient. C language is simple and efficient. The basic syntax style of implementing C language is very simple and easy to learn. This makes the language easily comprehensible and enables a programmer to redesign or create a new application. C is usually used as an introductory language to produce programming to school students because of this feature. Another feature of C language that is fast. It is a well-known fact that statistically typed programming languages are faster than dynamic ones. C is a statistically typed programming language which gives it an edge over dynamic languages. You can see reasons why C language was included inside what we are to learn during this training period. Because Solidity is a statistically typed programming language. Also, unlike Java and Python, which are interpreter-based, C language is compiler-based program. This makes the compilation and execution of code faster. Another factor that makes it fast is the availability of only the essential and required features. Newer programming languages come with numerous features, which increase functionality but reduce efficiency and speed. Since C offers limited but essential features, the headache of processing these features reduces, resulting in increased speed. Other features of C language is portability. To put it simply, C programs are machine independent. which means that you can run the fraction of a code created in C on various machines with none or some machines specific changes. Hence, it provides the functionality of using a single code on multi-system the requirements. C language is extensible. You can easily and quickly extend a C program. This means that if a code is already written, you can add new features to it with a few alterations. Basically, it allows adding new features, functionalities, and operations to an existing C program. Please mute yourself. Functions read libraries. That is another feature. C comes with an extensive set of libraries with several built-in functions that make the life of a programmer easy. Even a beginner can easily code using these built-in functions. You can also create your user-defined functions and add them to C libraries. The availability of such a vast scope of functions and operations allow a programmer to build a vast array of programs. Another one is dynamic memory management. C language has a dynamic memory management. One of the most significant features of C language is its support for dynamic memory management. That's DMA. It means that you can utilize and manage the size of the data structure in C during runtime. C also provides several predefined functions to work with memory allocation. For instance, you can use the free function to free up allocated memory at any time. Similarly, there are other functions such as malloc functions, calloc functions, and reloc functions to perform operations on data structure and memory allocation. Other features of C language is because of its that makes C language is because of its modularity with structured language. Modularity with structured language. C is a general purpose structured language. This feature of C language allows you to break a code into different parts using functions, which can be stored in the form of libraries for future use and reusability.
The slide
Structuring
is
the
still
code.
there, sir.
Any of your question, whatever you want on chat box, please. No interruption. Modularity with structured language. C is a general purpose structured language. This feature of C language allows you to break a code into different parts using functions which can be stored for future use and reusability. Structuring the code using functions increases the visual appeal and makes the program more organized and less prone to errors. Now, importance of C language. Importance of C language. 1, C is called as a robust language, which has many built-in functions and operations, which can be used to write any complex program. Generally, that's number 2. We use to call C as a middle level language because the C compiler combines the capabilities of an assembly language with the features of a high-level language. Therefore, it is best for writing both system software and business packages. C programs are efficient and fast. Is also highly portable. That is, C programs written on one computer can be run on another with little or no modification. For structured programming, where the user can think of a problem in terms of function modules or blocks. The last point on the importance of C language, it has the ability to extend itself. Now we move to C++. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello, House?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. We are.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We are in the house.
We are with
Together.
Okay,
That-
thank you
We
very
are
much.
with you, sir.
All right.
Yes, we are
Yes,
together.
All right, let's
Okay.
move on.
Yes, sir.
Let's
Thank
move
you,
on.
sir.
Together
Let's move
we
on. Mute
are.
yourself now. Thank you. Now, introduction to C++.
You're too slow.
Yeah, thank you. What is C++? C++ is a cross-platform language that can be used to create high-performance applications. It was developed by James Stroustrup as an extension to the C language. It also gives programmer a high level of control over system resources and memory. The language was updated 4 major times. The first one, 2011, 2014, 2017, and 2020, which are called C++ 11, C++ 14, and C++ 17, and C++ 20. So why use C++? It's one of the world's most popular programming languages, or programming language, sorry. It can be found in today's operating systems, graphical user interface, and embedded systems. It's an object-oriented programming language which gives a clear structure to programs and allows code to be reused, lowering development costs. It is also portable and can be used to develop applications that can be adapted to multiple platforms. C language, C++ language is fun and easy to learn. As C++ is close to C# and Java, it makes it easy for programmers to switch to C++ or vice versa. The difference between C and C++ now, as we have mentioned before, it was developed as an extension of C language, as said, a C language, and both languages have almost the same syntax. The main difference is that C++ supports classes and objects, while C does not. So, advantages of C++ now. Advantages of C++. Number one is because of its portability. C++ offers feature of portability or platform independence, which allows the user to run the same program on different operating systems or interfaces at ease. Suppose you had the program in Linux OS. For some apparent reason, you switch to Windows OS. You will be able to run the same program in Windows as well without any error. This feature proves to be of great convenience. Second advantage of C++ is that it's object-oriented. One of the biggest advantages of C++, please mute yourself, is the feature of object-oriented programming, which includes concepts. Please mute yourself, like classes, inheritance, polymorphism. Please mute yourself, please.
Python. Okay.
One of the biggest advantages of C++ is the feature of object-oriented programming, which includes concepts like classes, inheritance. Please mute yourself. Polymorphism. Please mute yourself, please. Data abstraction and encapsulation that allow code reusability and makes a program even more reliable. Please, you are distracting the class. You do not mute yourself. Not only this, it is, oh God. It helps us deal with real-world problems by treating data as an object. C language lacked this feature and hence it was created, proving to be of great significance. This feature gave back to numerous job prospects and technologies. It is fascinating to know that C++ was created by combining features not only from C, but similar 67, the first object-oriented programming language. Number 3, multi-paradigm. C++ is a multi-paradigm programming language. The term paradigm refers to the style of programming. It includes logic, structure, and procedure of the program. Generic, imperative, and object-oriented are 3 paradigms of C++. Let us now try to understand what generic programming means. Generic programming refers to the use of a single idea to serve several purposes. Imperative programming, on the other hand, refers to the use of statements that change a program's state. Number 4, low-level manipulation. Since C++ is closely associated with C, which is a procedural language closely related to machine language, C++ allows low-level manipulation of data at a certain level. Embedded systems and compiler are created with the help of C++. Memory management. C++ gives the programmer the provision of total control over memory management. These can be considered both as an asset and a liability, as this increases the responsibility of the user to manage memory rather than it's being managed by the garbage collector. This concept is implemented with the help of DMA, that is dynamic memory allocation, using pointers. Number 6, C supports large community. C++ has a large community that supports it by providing online courses and lectures, both paid and unpaid. Statistically speaking, C++ is the 6th most used and followed tag on Stack Overflow and GitHub. Please mute yourself. Number 7. Please mute yourself, please.
Nah, respect yourself now. What's wrong with you?
Number 7, compatibility with C language. C++ is pretty much compatible with C language. Virtually every error-free C program is a valid C++ program, depending on the compiler used. Every program of C++ can run on a file with .cpp extension. Number 8, scalability. Scalability refers to the ability of a program to scale. It means that the C++ program is capable of running on a small scale as well as a large scale of data. We can also build applications that are resources intensive. Now we move to disadvantages of C++. Sorry. All right. Disadvantages of C++. Number 1. Okay. Use of pointers. Pointer and C are relatively difficult concepts to grasp, and it consumes.
I just want space, haven't.
Please mute yourself.
Go rich now.
People like this. and it consumes a lot of memory. Misuse of pointers, like wide pointers, may cause the system to crash or behave anonymously. Two, security issue. Although object-oriented programming offers a lot of security to the data being handled as compared to other programming languages that are not object-oriented, like C, certain security issues still exist due to the availability of friend functions, global variables, and pointers. Number three disadvantages is the absence of garbage collector. As discussed earlier, C++ gives the user complete control of managing the computer memory using the DMA. C++ lacks the feature of a garbage collector to automatically filter out unnecessary data. Number four disadvantages of C++. That is the absence of built-in thread. C++ does not support any built-in threads. Thread is a relatively new concept in C++, which wasn't initially there. Now, C++ is capable of supporting lambda functions. Now I want to move to JavaScript. Hello, class.
Hello, sir.
Hi, sir.
We are together with you.
Hi.
Hello, sir.
Hi,
All
we are
right,
with you.
thank you.
Hi, we are following, sir.
We are with
We
you,
are not
sir.
sleeping.
We are
Following,
here.
sir.
We are
Now,
here. We are here.
Hi, we are with you.
We are following, sir.
all
We are
right,
following.
thank you.
We
We are here,
All
sir.
right. Okay,
Following.
thank you.
We are
So you
following,
cannot
sir.
mute yourself. Yeah, thank you.
We are following,
Now,
sir.
We are
introduction
following,
to,
sir. You may drink water.
all right. Introduction to JavaScript.
Wahala.
Introduction to JavaScript. The courses we have been discussing so far, these are the courses that we are going to take during this training. I repeat, JavaScript is a text-based programming language used both on the client side and server side that allows you to make web pages interactive, where HTML and CSS are languages that give structure. JavaScript is a dynamic programming language that is used for web development, for web development and web applications, for game development, and lots more. It allows you to implement dynamic features on web pages that cannot be done with only HTML and CSS. Many browsers use JavaScript as a scripting language for doing dynamic things on the web. Anytime you see a click to show drop-down menu, extra content added to a page, and dynamically changing element colors on a page, to name a few features, you are seeing the effect of JavaScript. What would the web look like without JavaScript? Without JavaScript, all you would have on the web would be HTML and CSS. This alone limits you to a few web page implementations. 90%, if not more, of your web pages would be static. and you only have the dynamic changes like animations that CSS provides. How JavaScript makes things dynamic. HTML defines the structure of your web documents and the content therein, while CSS declares various style on the contents provided on the web documents. HTML and CSS are often called markup languages rather than programming languages. Note this, HTML and CSS, they are not programming languages because they at their core provide markups for documents with very little dynamism. So JavaScript, on the other hand, is a dynamic programming language that supports math calculations, allow you to dynamically add HTML contents to the DOM, create dynamic style declaration, purchase content from another websites. Before we go to how JavaScript does all of these things, let's do a quick example. You can check that. I'm not able to do that. Check that on CodePen, the site you see on the screen. In the CodePen, you will see that as you type in the input field, the text shows on the screen that is made possible by JavaScripts. You cannot get this with HTML, CSS, nor both of them together. How to use JavaScripts in HTML. 1, 2 data types, variables, comments, and functions. How to use JavaScript in HTML. Just like CSS. JavaScript can be used in HTML in various ways, such as inline JavaScript. Here you have the JavaScript code in line tags, in HTML tags, in some special JS-based attributes. For example, HTML tags have event attributes that allow you to execute some code inline when an event is triggered. Here is what I mean. Okay, you can see it on the screen. Button on click equals to quote alert, open the brackets as parentheses. You just clicked a button. That's single quotes that close it and close the bracket. So you see the double quote at the back. So click me with exclamatory mark, slash the button. This is an example of inline JavaScript. The value of onClick can be some math calculation, a dynamic addition to the DOM, any syntax valid JavaScript code. Number 2, internal JavaScript with the script tag. Just like the start tag for style declaration within an HTML page, The script tag exists for JavaScript. Here is how it's used. You can see the example there. That's the way it is used there. We learned it further. We learn more of it when we get to the real class. Number 3, external JavaScript. You may want to have your JavaScript code in a different file. External JavaScript allows this. For such use cases, here is how it's done. Look at the code on the scripts, on the screen, sorry. All right. So that's how it's been done. And start to web pages. JavaScript gives web pages interactive elements that engage a user. Now, JavaScript versions. JavaScript was invented by Brenda Eade in 1995 and became an ECMA standard in 1997. ECMA script is the official name of the language. And ECMA scripts versions have been abbreviated to ES1 to 6. Since 2016, new versions are named by year. ECMAScript 2016, ECMAScript 2017, and 2018. What is JavaScript used for? JavaScript is mainly used for web-based applications and web browsers. But JavaScript is also used beyond the web in software, servers, and embedded hardware controls. Here are some of the basic things JavaScript is used for. Number 1, adding interactive behavior to web pages. Adding interactive behavior to web pages. JavaScript allows users to interact with web pages. There are almost no limits to the things you can do with JavaScript on a web page. These are just a few examples. Show or hide more information with the click of a button. Change the color of a button when the mouse hovers over it. Slide through a carousel of images on the home page. Zooming in or zoom out on an image. Displaying a timer or countdown on a website. Playing audio and video in a web page. Displaying animations and using a drop-down hamburger menu. 2, creating web and mobile apps. Developers can use various JavaScript frameworks for developing and building web and mobile apps. JavaScript frameworks are collections of JavaScript code libraries that provide developers with pre-written code to use for runtime programming. Features and tasks. Literally a framework to build websites or web applications around. Popular JavaScript front-end frameworks include React, React Native, Angular, and Vue. Many companies use Node.js, the JavaScript runtime environment built on Google Chrome's JavaScript V8 engine. A few famous examples include PayPal, LinkedIn, Netflix, and Uber. Number 3, building web servers and developing server applications. Beyond websites and apps, developers can also use JavaScript to build simple web servers and develop the back-end infrastructures using Node.js. Last one is game development. Of course, you can also use JavaScript to create browser games. This is a great way for beginning developers to practice their JavaScript skills. Why use JavaScript over other programming languages? Aside from the unlimited possibilities, there are many reasons for web developers to use JavaScript over other programming languages. JavaScript is the only programming language native to the web browsers. JavaScript is the most popular language. There is a low threshold to get started, and it's also a fun language to learn. Now, we move to Introduction to HTML. Introduction to HTML. HTML is the standard markup language for creating web pages. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. And it is the standard markup language for creating web pages. HTML describes the structure of a web page. Also consists of a series of elements. HTML elements tell the browser how to display the contents. HTML elements label pieces of content such as this is a heading, this is a paragraph, and this is a link, and etc. You can see a simple HTML document. Doc type, HTML, head, title page, the title, head, body, blah, blah, each one, my first heading, my first paragraph, and body, and so on. Let's see. Explanation on it. The doc type HTML is declaration defines that this document is an HTML5 document. The HTML there is element is the root element of an HTML page. The head element contains meta information about the HTML page. The title element specifies a title for the HTML page, which is shown in the browser title bar or in the in the page tab. The body element defines the document's body and is a container for all the visible contents such as headings, paragraphs, images, hyperlinks, tables, lists, etc. The H1 elements defines a large heading. H1 element defines a large heading, while the P element defines a paragraph. Now we move to introduction to CSS. Introduction to CSS. CSS is the language we use to style a web page. And CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. CSS describes how HTML elements are to be displayed on screen, paper, or in other media. CSS saves a lot of work. It can control the layout of multiple web pages all at once. External style sheets are stored in CSS files. CSS solved big problem. Let's see. HTML never intended to contain tags for formatting a web page. HTML was created to describe the contents. So sorry. Okay. To solve this problem, CSS solved a big problem. To solve this problem, the World Wide Web Consortium 3 created CSS. CSS removed the style formatting from HTML page. 7 benefits to learn and use CSS. Faster websites. CSS make HTML pages smaller in size, thereby speeding page downloading times. Worldwide Page Consultant 3 recommendations. CSS is one of the W3C's core recommendations. So your CSS style site will comply with the current standards. So moreover, most HTML formatting tags are being deprecated by older browsers and aren't even supported in XHTML code. So you have no good reason not to use CSS for most, if not all, of your content styling and positioning needs. Easy to edit. Another benefit of CSS is that it's easy to edit. CSS is indefinitely editable, giving you the flexibility of changing the look of your pages as often as you like, without ever altering the content. Another benefit is easy to control. CSS helps separate presentation, that is how the page looks, from contents, as was on the page. By moving all the page styling instructions into a centralized location, that location can either be in line with the code or internal in the head area of the web page, or in an external CSS document to which all the pages on the site are linked. The latter being the most useful method for working with CSS. The benefit of having an entire site style information contained in a single external CSS file is that doing so allows for instant site-wide style updates. Another benefit of CSS that always will be trend. CSS styles your documents, your content, semantically, which means that it requires fewer style than the old HTML formatting tags. For example, CSS allows the designer to redefine the presentation of content contained inside particular tags, such as automatically adding a particular color and font space to any content marked up with H3 tags, or applying the same background color and border attributes to any tables on the site. Another benefit, no need for extra codes. No need for extra codes. CSS can be used to style the look of text, images, and objects, as well as to position objects on a web page. This feature alone drastically reduce the amount of code required to display objects on a page. For instance, object contained in div tags as vision tags can be absolutely positioned on a page with CSS. Before to place something in an exact spot on a page require code acts involving the use of tables with empty table cells and space as gifs. All that extra code goes away with CSS. Other code acts involve the unorthodox and creative use of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and other code to manipulate objects on a web page and or work around existing limitation of the web to achieve a desired visual effect. Another benefit is that it is easy to update. CSS is a more affordable solution for styling content because it takes less time to implement and update than the older styling techniques did. With old way, even simple changes might require the hand editing of all the individual pages on a site. With CSS, one change there can update a style across an entire website. After you begin styling your content with external CSS, you will probably never want to go back to using the old tags for styling. TypeScript's introduction. TypeScript's introduction. What is TypeScript? TypeScript is a syntactic superset of JavaScript, which adds static typing. This basically means that TypeScript adds syntax on top of JavaScript, allowing developers to add types. Why should I use TypeScript? JavaScript is a loosely typed language. It can be difficult to understand what types of data are being passed around in JavaScript. In JavaScript, function parameters and variables don't have any information, so developers need to look at documentation or guess based on the implementation. Also, TypeScript allows specifying the types of data being passed around within the code and has the ability to report errors when the types don't match. For example, TypeScript reports an error when passing a string into a function that expects a number. JavaScript will not. TypeScript uses compile time type checking, which means it checks if the specified types match before running the code. Not while running the code. How do I use TypeScript? How do I use TypeScript? A common way to use TypeScript is to use the official TypeScript compiler, which transpiles TypeScript code into JavaScript. Mute yourself. The next section, please mute yourself. The next section shows how to get the compiler set up for a local project. For a local project. The next section shows how to get the compiler set up for a local project. Some popular code editors, such as Visual Studio Code, have built-in TypeScript support and can show errors as you write code. Now we want to see features of TypeScript. The features of TypeScript. Number one, generics. Generics provide a way to write flexible code that can work with various data types rather than a single data type. A single data type generic are common in almost all programming languages. They allow us to write dynamic and reusable code to follow the drive. That is, don't repeat yourself principle. A major part of software engineering is building components that not only have well-defined and consistent APIs, but are also reusable. You can check this code in TypeScriptLang.org. I put it there intentionally. So number two is that template literal types. Template literal types allow us to build more flexible types, as its name suggests. They have the same syntax as template literal strings in JavaScript, but are used in type position. Number three is that type guards. TypeScript allow you to create so-called user-defined type guard. They allow us to guarantee types during runtime. A type guard is some expression that performs a runtime check. A runtime check that guarantees the type in some scope. You can check that too in TypeScript.lang, TypeScriptLang.org. Number four is that conditional types. TypeScript allow you to create so-called conditional types. They allow us to guarantee types during runtime. Conditional types helps describe the relation between the types of inputs and outputs. The last one on that is union types. Union types are one of the most used TypeScript features. They allow us to combine existing types instead of creating them from scratch. A union type describes a value that can be one of several types. We use the vertical bar to separate each type. Now we're going to go on a break, and we'll go for break for 15 minutes. Also go for break now. So we're going to continue after 15 minutes. 15 minutes time, we are resuming back to class. So I want us to go for break for 15 minutes, just for 15 minutes. We'll come back to complete the last lab.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And let's just go for break for 15 minutes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let's relax for 15 minutes. We'll come back in the next 15 minutes.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Baba.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Guys, don't need all the thank you. Just go 15 minutes.
Come back, Gabby.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Hello, are we still here?
Yes, sir, we are still here, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, we are
Oh, yeah, about children. I see say on Father's Day you remember me. That's so that.
Guy, I beg, mute yourself. Guy, I beg, mute yourself.
Confession. Jesus. They change. Hello, as the class finish, I can't hear anybody. Me, I dey here.
How you doing here when you don't take class before? When they say
Please, is the class over, please? Is the class over?
Break. Still on break.
Johnny break.
Okay, welcome back again. Thank you very much, everybody. Hello.
Yeah, we
Are
can
we
hear
together?
you.
All
Yes,
right.
we are
So
together.
let me just hello everyone. Let me just say this.
Can hear you, sir.
Yeah,
Hello,
yeah.
sir.
Thank you. Okay, I can hear you. Thank you very much. We have resumed back for the
right.
second labs. Okay. Let me just drop this. I want to respond to some comments. Somebody said that
Those that are sleeping.
instead of coming to class to give all these blah blah blah, what I'm giving you now, I feel that these are what you need to know before we move to the real class. All these things are just the introductory part.
Yeah.
Next week, yes, of what you are coming to do. No, they are not much. No, they are simple. These are just the low class. These are just the introductory for you to know. I just want you to know more about the languages, each of the languages we are coming to learn. That is just the same about cramming, but just to know how the process is starting the practical.
Hello, sir.
We can't hear
Starting
and
the
this
practical work.
aspect is very important.
So
Hello, sir.
can you hear?
Am I the only one that can't hear?
Network is not allowing us to hear you.
So we can't hear you, sir.
I can't hear you. Please come again, sir.
Okay,
I think your line is breaking, sir.
can you hear me?
Okay, I think it's fair now.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
We can hear
okay.
you now. We
Yes,
can
sir.
hear you
Please
now.
stop all over again because that instruction is
Let's
very
just go
important.
straight to the last lab. Now, I want to move to talk about
No, sir,
Java.
please. You were trying to tell us something very important. We need that information to help us, please.
Java. What's
Hello, sir. Your voice is still cracking.
You were
Can
telling us
barely hear you
that
from
we
here.
don't need to memorize all these things that they are introduction. Please, we want to hear that again because it will help us a long way.
okay? Java is a popular programming language created in 1990. It is owned by Oracle. Again,
We can't see your screen,
We can't see your
Can you
screen,
please
sir.
share the
Your screen is not visible.
Yeah.
can you see it now?
Not yet, sir.
No, not
Not yet.
Yet.
Oh,
Not
okay.
yet, sir.
We can see it now.
Just be patient. Maybe
Good.
the network from your end. Can you see it now?
yeah.
We can see it now.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So the next and the last lab we have in this class is Java. We want to know what Java is. What is Java? Java is a popular programming language created in 1995. And Java is owned by Oracle. And more than 3 billion devices run on Java. The uses of Java. 1. Java is used for mobile applications, specifically Android apps. 2. Java is used for desktop applications. 3. Web applications. 4. Servers and application servers. 5. Games. Database connection, and much more. Java works on different platforms like Windows, Mac, Linux, Raspberry Pi, and etc. It is one of the most popular programming languages in the world. It is an easy to learn and simple to use. It is open source and free. It is secure, fast, and powerful. It has a huge community support, tens of millions of developers. Java is an object-oriented language which gives a clear structure to programs and allows code to be reused, lowering the development cost. As Java is close to C++ and C#, it makes it easy for programmers to switch to Java or
Hello, sir.
vice versa.
Inside the microphone and disturbing. Please let
Please
everybody.
mute yourself. Please mute yourself. No, Java is simple. That is the features of Java. Features of Java. 1, Java is simple. Java programming language is easy to learn. Java code is easy to read and write. 2, Java is familiar. Java is similar to C and C++, but it removes the drawbacks and complexity of C and C++, like pointers and multiple inheritances. So if you have background in C and C++, you will find Java familiar and easy to learn. Java is an object-oriented programming language, unlike C++, which is semi-object-oriented. Java is a fully object-oriented programming language. It has all OOPS features, such as abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. 4, Java supports functional programming. Since Java XC version 8 JDK, Java is updated with functional programming features like functional interfaces and lambda expression. This increases the flexibility of Java. 5, Java is robust. With automatic garbage collection, the simple memory management model, no pointer like C and C#, C++, plus language features like generic threat with resources. Java guides programmer toward reliable programming habits for creating highly reliable applications. Another feature is that Java is secure. The Java platform is designed with security features built into the language and runtime system, such as static type checking, at compile time and runtime checking. A security manager, which lets you creating applications that can't be invaded from outside. You never hear about viruses attacking Java applications. Another feature is that Java is high performance. Java code is compiled into bytecode, which is highly optimized by the Java compiler, so that the Java virtual machine, JVM, can execute Java applications at full speed. In addition, compute-intensive code can be written in native code and interfaced with Java platform via Java Native Interface, JNI. Thus, improve the performance. Number 8, Java is multi-threaded. Java platform is designed with multi-threading capabilities built into language. That means you can build applications with many concurrent threads of activity, resulting in highly interactive and responsive applications. Java is platform independence. Java is compiled into intermediate formats, that is bytecode, which can be executed on any system for which Java virtual machine is ported. That means you can write a Java program once and run it on Windows, Mac, Linux, or Solaris without recompiling. Thus, the slogan, write once, run anywhere of Java. Besides the above features, programmers can benefit from a strong and vibrant Java ecosystem. Java is powered by Oracle, one of the leaders in the industry. Java also gets enormous support from big technology companies like IBM, Google, Red Hat, and so on. It has been always evolving over the years. There are a lot of open source libraries which can choose for building your applications. There are many superior tools and IDEs that makes your Java development easier. There are many frameworks that help you build highly reliable applications quickly. The last one here, benefit, is that the community around Java technology is very big and mature, so that you can get support easily. I'll be putting a stop to this tonight. If you have any question to write, just go to chat box, drop your message there. Keep yourself mute. Go to chat box if you want to ask questions so that we can interact in a few minutes time that we have. Okay. Vincent, just drop your message in the chat box. Let me see. I'm not seeing any message yet. If you have any message, just drop it in the chat box. Drop your message in chat, your question in the chat box. Let's see. This person is asking, what do I do?
That's not what it is.
Hello, John. So there is a question here. What's
Good evening, sir.
good evening? So I can see John here. So what program languages are best for Solidity? All the program languages that shall be taught, that shall be learned, are best for Solidity programming. So take that. Chioma Tene Areku, can you please reframe your question? Reframe the question, please. All right. My questions about data security, why do we have phones? And there are sometimes affected by security. Is there any room for what you just tried? How can someone like me get the slides? Can you download? Please, how can someone now look at this question now? Someone said, how can someone like me get the slides? So don't worry, I will drop the slide after the class on Friday. I will drop the slide for you after the class on Friday for you. Just take that. At Nnamdi Nwabweze. Jason Presents. So I will give you the slide too. That answered Jason Presents' question.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate for that.
Sir, are all these things mentioned today different program language? I don't understand this question. So another question is here. My question is on why Java programs are not susceptible to virus attacks. Is this same even on proper computer system, or this referring to only Android? Adelakun, Adeola, can you please reframe this your question? Please reframe the question.
All right, sir. Can I speak about it?
Yes, you will have it. Sulaimon Ogundare, you have it. Do we need to efficient and professions? Please do we need to be efficient and proficient in all these languages for Solidity? Yes. So Aman Yahoo Akobo, yes. Please, how can I get as do we definitely get it as spoken on that? Thank you for this. Okay, you don't need to memorize anything. Can you please share the documents? Definitely. Sir, you did mention of the word sometimes. Please, can you? Oracle, please let me hear your voice.
Hello, sir. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, you made mention of
were
the
you
word
around? Were you around?
Sir?
Yes, were you around yesterday? Were you around yesterday?
Yes, sir.
Okay, maybe you did not listen very well when we were talking yesterday. Just syntax is just the set of rules that define the various combinations of symbols. So that's just the syntax.
Okay.
So
okay, thank you, sir.
We should be giving us just like so. Uchechuku Ota have answered your question. Are HTML and CSS popular to JavaScript? Definitely. Samuel Wise. Yes, yeah, it's peculiar to JavaScript. So there's no way you will work on JavaScript, you might make use of as well you will work design, you won't make use of HTML and CSS. I'd like to know the meaning of statically typed. Oh. Statically typed. Oh. All right. Hello, Chioma. Is it Chioma? No. Chioma, I would like to know. Okay. Kingsley Honor. Hello, Kingsley. Hello, Kingsley.
Yes, I'm here, sir.
You can hear the word statically typed. The
Yes,
word
sir.
is framed from static. You understand? It's framed from static.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now, that
Okay.
is why you
Okay.
read statically typed.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Somebody said, I mean that all the names called such as Python, Java, C++, are they all programming languages? Yes. Yeah. Single blockchain web app. What are they special language that go in hand? Yeah. Go hand in hand. Go hand, yeah. That go hand in hand. Hello, I think this one has been answered. E.G. John, this one has been answered before. So this one when we were having, I think on Monday, somebody made mention of this and think it has been trashed while we are having all these programming languages. So I've answered it. You can listen to the previous class that we had.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Your question has been answered. Kingsley or no, your question has been answered. Please, should we be given access to slide because most of us Nigeria know for Internet electricity and this course. Can you this job? This one has been answered too. Please, we should appreciate the link to the I don't know. Okay, thank you very much. I think Hello? So if I'm unable to attend to your questions, you can send it to me on Telegram. We'll attend to it. So there's some questions I can see here. It's like they are repetition, except the one for
the Telegram is
except the
logged.
one for the you said
The Telegram is logged. And how do we identify you on Telegram, please?
you see iMark Academy, Ibadan, your state.
Thank you, sir.
So just send me a message. I mean, you can send me your question. I will attend to it. So these are the questions I'm able to attend to today. So thank you very much for your patience and for your coming.